time to go back to the beginning and do it all over again on Overview with Asteroid G. You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Josh, wannabe Korean war vet, Schaefer.
Principal, Queen Bee.
And we are talking today about something a little different than what we normally cover. It occurred to me, I found at a garage sale a complete collection of M.A.S.H. Now, I am not a giant M.A.S.H. fan, having grown up in the 80s. After that show was on the air. That's fine. I didn't get into it, and I've never gotten into it.
You should watch it.
Well, I now have all 11 seasons of it, so I could. But the
TV show that lasted longer than the war.
Right. But the thing that occurred to me is M.A.S.H. sits in a very kind of specific genre. The fixer who gets himself into trouble with one dirty scheme after another, and then has to dig his way out, and, hilarity ensues. And it occurred to me that because of this, M.A.S.H. and Saved by the Bell are almost the same show.
Yeah.
You swap out high school for a war, which I think some people will tell you it's the same damn thing.
Right.
And you have the same show basically, aside from the freeze frame, and then Zach Morris wandering off. But yeah.
So you're saying Zach Morris is Hawkeye?
I'm saying that I think the whole of Saved by the Bell happens in a PTSD flashback from M.A.S.H. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's a genre here, and you wouldn't, you take each of these separately, and you're sitting there going, okay, sure. But there's connective tissue, because you can go from M.A.S.H. to, the Bill Murray movie that we've covered before, Stripes.
Stripes, yeah.
Maybe a little bit of Animal House in there. You've got Ferris Bueller, Parker Lewis Can't Lose, Saved by the Bell. There's connective tissue among all of those. But it's kind of the fixer that gets into trouble and comes out. And you get to that from Bill Murray to Animal House to Ferris Bueller, which kind of makes sense. Yeah. And then you're sitting there going, wow, there's a whole lot of other ones of these, Accepted and all those. And somehow M.A.S.H. and Accepted share the same genre. Van Wilder, even.
Yeah, I mean, I think M.A.S.H. is kind of just a 11-season-long frat movie.
It kind of is.
It kind of is. It has the same tropes.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I can see that. And Saved by the Bell, obviously.
It's just a high school version.
It's just a high school version, yeah.
I mean, Zach Morris takes pictures of all the swimsuit girls and then puts a calendar together and gets in trouble, but somehow skirts his way out of that and isn't expelled for sexual harassment.
Yeah, same way everyone in M.A.S.H. doesn't really get...
More than once?
Yeah.
The opening episode is they decide to throw a drunken bash or whatever, and somehow skirt their way out of it.
Because they're lovable doctors.
What, the very first episode of that and very first episode of Saved by the Bell, The College Years, is the same plot?
I wonder if they have the same showrunner.
Guy decides to throw a fake sell tickets to a fake trip, and then has to somehow scramble to make it all work in the end. Literally the same exact storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. So I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by the thought that, especially Saved by the Bell, because it's such an awful show. But, it ran for...
It served its purpose.
I mean, between the college years and the original show and then the next generation, Saved by the Bell was basically around for almost as long as M.A.S.H.
Yeah.
And somehow they're in the same genre.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. 1989 to 1992 is how long...
Well, that's how the original one ran.
That's how Saved by the Bell ran. But M.A.S.H. ran from 1972 to 1983.
Yeah, but you also have to factor in, because it's basically a continuation of the show, Saved by the Bell, the new class.
Okay, and how long did it run?
Hold on.
100 years.
No.
Wait.
4 seasons.
Yeah. No, I think it went 5. Yeah. Something like that.
It went 5 seasons? That crap show went 5 seasons?
7 seasons of Saved by the Bell, the new class. On top of the 5 from Saved by the Bell, plus you had the college years, plus it has a revival. You're looking at 13 seasons of Saved by the Bell.
But that's unfair. You can't really reboot M.A.S.H. because it was during one war.
They did do continuations, though. They did After M.A.S.H. And they did
Father John.
Trapper John, MD. John. Yeah. And they even tried to do another one called Walter. And so, I mean, they did try. They got 13, 14 seasons if you discount Trapper John, because Trapper John was technically based on the movie and not the TV show. But, yeah. So yeah, these are long-running fucking shows, and one of them's about Zach Morris being a skis.
Well, okay, so if we're saying that Mark Paul Gosselaar, the Zach Morris, is equal to the Alan Alda...
I mean, we're saying it now, because it's just been said.
Mm-hmm. Right. That means that Trapper John would be equal to Mario Lopez's AC Slater.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Okay. And then the Dustin Diamond character would be who? Jamie Farr?
Dead.
I.e. the Klinger?
I don't know. I'm not that big a M.A.S.H fan to be able to do the comparisons. I'll let you guys figure that out.
Probably Radar.
Dennis Diamond is Radar? I don't think so.
I just wanted to say Radar. There's not a really good Screech equivalent.
No. So. I just want to take Screech and put him in M.A.S.H. Just as Screech. Just running around with his robot. Oh no, the war is coming! Let's figure this out, Screech. And then they go to the max. This is a terrible episode.
Yeah. I wasn't the biggest Saved by the Bell fan, so...
Well, then it would probably be very popular with the TV show if it would be a terrible episode. Oh, yeah. I think they're all terrible. They're all terrible.
There's more connective tissue here, though, because if you think about it, Alan Alda went on to star on The West Wing as a presidential candidate. And
phenomenal, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. That's such a great... I'm glad you made it through that.
Yeah.
Zach Morris, on the new version of Saved by the Bell, is the governor of California? I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, governor of California.
Yeah, but... So, presidential or governmental candidate, it's conspiracy down the conspiracy hole. How far does the Zach Morris M.A.S.H connection really go?
Well, I'll be fair to Mark Gosselaar, because I actually do think he's a fairly decent actor when he actually does acting.
Yeah. I liked him. So, what was it? That one season baseball show, Pitch? That was actually pretty good. The show itself was bad, but he was actually pretty good on it.
Yeah, and I actually liked him in his lawyer show that he was in, Franklin and Bash. I actually liked Franklin and Bash.
Because that had what was the other dude's name in it?
Bash? Or was he Franklin?
No, the other, the actor, he's in, he does
Breckin Meyer.
Yeah. Oh, really? Is that where he ended up after all those high school movies?
Yeah. I like Breckin. He has the best Boba Fett voice in Robot Chicken. So, mad respect. We should do a profile on Breckin Meyer.
Profiles on Breckin Meyer for one of our podcasts. There we go.
I might be able to get him. Can you tell me what it's like playing Boba Fett in a fake toy show?
Can you tell me what it's like to be super famous for 5 minutes and then you're stuck on this podcast?
Damn.
We're not paying you, but we got bagels in the fridge.
But it's a podcast that you're calling into, so you have to go get your own bagels.
Yeah. You can afford it.
Breckin fucking Meyer, damn it. But no.
That's such a great name, too.
Breckin Meyer?
It's a good Hollywood name. That was my name, Josh. But Breckin.
He's been working in a lot of stuff. I mean, he's in No Man's Land. He's in Star Wars Detours, which is like the TV series kind of voiceovers. It looks like he does a lot of voices.
Yeah,
he's in Good Girls.
Well, and I just want to mention, we mentioned all these Saved by the Bell things, but that we did also miss one other. The 2 seasons of the show before it even became Saved by the Bell. Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so this is a fucking franchise here, okay?
It is, but I'm not quite sure why, because it's just terrible.
Oh, I know, it's bad. It's bad. It suits the same need that pretty much all these other shows about some wish fulfillment fixer do, which is, as I mentioned, wish fulfillment. It's the thing of being able to see that you could get away with anything and getting it past your parents or your commanding officers or your boss or whoever. But you gotta think, in most of these situations, it's because the people that are watching it are sad sacks that just want to see someone that actually does the things that they can't do. Yeah. When in reality, Ferris Bueller probably grew up and got arrested for half the shit that he did and became a sad sack himself.
I really want to follow up to
I know,
Ferris
right?
Bueller. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be a
Well-
heartfelt type thing of some sort.
Mike,
but-
if you want to do a better comparison of Mark Paul Gosselaar being equal to Alan Alda in the
Sure.
various characters, he actually was in a show called Commander in Chief. Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Oh,
Okay.
was he?
Yeah,
Huh.
he played Richard Dickey McDonald. I don't know who that is.
Dickey!
I never saw it.
Archer.
How do you go from Zach to Dickie?
He was also in a show called DC, which I'm pretty sure had something to do with
Destructicon
government.
Batman?
No.
So, but I mean, it's like Ferris Bueller is of a very specific time and place. So let's discuss this out. Like M.A.S.H. obviously is of a very specific time and place for the Korean War. I don't think you could mock another war quite the way you could with that. Like even Korea wasn't great, but they got a lot of material out of Korea that I don't think would play as well if you set it in Vietnam or.
I think that's why they did that, because it was initially, I'm pretty sure, supposed to be a critique on the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But they were like, maybe let's go back to another Asian war that we didn't.
But that's
really
not
need to
quite.
do.
That's yeah. Cold War doesn't have the same effect. Any of the current ones, you like some of them. Like Jarhead is a better kind of critique on more current wars.
Yeah, Three Kings was pretty decent
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But like the critique on them is different from M.A.S.H. M.A.S.H. is not only a specific time and place for when the war that they chose for it, but it's also like the critique is very specific to the era that it came out in.
Right.
So Ferris Bueller is kind of Rat Pack wish fulfillment for kids, but I don't think you could make the same kind of wish fulfillment movie now. It'd have different aspects to it.
Yeah.
Like I tried to think about how would you reboot Ferris Bueller, and I'm like, well, I think you have to like make Ferris into a girl, and then you got to take a lot of internet crap into account.
Yeah.
And the way that they avoided all the crap that came up would be much more difficult now.
Yeah.
Like, so it's the same thing of the wish fulfillment changes as the things update. Accepted works because it's no one wants to like deal with the stress of college, but then they actually make a college, and then they have to deal with the stress of it. So like, so Saved by the Bell is Saved by the Bell. Like, it's the one where you're certainly going, is it a very specific time and place? Well, the fashion is very specific.
Right.
Late 80s, early 90s. But the stories it
back.
told were so generic that I think it lasted as long as it did because it didn't challenge anything.
No, it was very after school special feel too.
It was, oh, the caffeine pill overdose.
I thought it was going to be a bigger thing than
Yeah.
it was in high school.
They were trying to teach life lessons, Mike.
I'm so excited. No. But yeah, like the Saved by the Bell as I think the only one that could like conceivably continue on of all the things that we've mentioned and have a continuation, which it does, because it has no perspective and no voice to it. It just is.
There's so much of it. I'm just reading through all of these.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
scary how
God.
long that
Oh,
show
no.
lasted.
Yeah.
Okay, it needs to go, people. It needs to go. It needs to go.
It's all right because it's Saved by the Bell. So.
What is the bell?
And apparently, the bell consists of the people who keep bringing it back, which is Sam Brobrick and Tracy Wigfield. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
I don't like. And I think that we have touched upon where the connective tissue between Saved by the Bell and so many of these other things falls apart, and it's there's no voice to Saved by the Bell like there is for basically everything else. Like Accepted and hell, even Van Wilder to a certain extent has like some thoughts on something. M.A.S.H. definitely has a lot, even as it like continued on for 11 years and lasted longer than the war it was supposed to be about. But Saved by the Bell has no voice. Saved by the Bell has no perspective. It's mostly it's just sociopath gets away with everything. So yeah.
I think in the 80s especially, I think narcissism and
yeah. Okay, so maybe it does have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So '80s was a very narcissistic time, from what I remember. Even the early '90s.
Yeah.
But I think all that stuff is kind of like I can't really think of a fixer quote unquote movie like recently, you know?
Not as many.
Like I can't think of one.
Accepted was the last one I could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comes and goes. But like when you talk about the quote unquote genre we're coming up with, there just aren't that many of them because it's so specific to what the character is supposed to be. Most of the time when you get a fixer like that, they end up like having to be a fuck up in some respect to balance out the asshole-ish quality of it. You can't find a lot of people that can play a character like Ferris Bueller and actually make it like lovable.
Well, that's why I think Matthew Broderick isn't really doing that type of stuff anymore. He's moved to musicals.
He put on like 40 pounds and stopped being the cute.
Same Matthew.
I know. Is that why you stopped doing musicals?
No, that's why I stopped doing slapstick comedy fixer movies. I stopped doing musicals because I was told
we're supposed to be comparing M.A.S.H and Saved by the Bell. We're not supposed to be shitting all over.
We're not shitting on Matthew Broderick. I love him in Ferris Bueller. Yeah. I mean, I think his choice in women is kind of bad, but
hey, man, you know, you just
lady in Ireland.
He did not.
Yeah, he did. I promise you.
Damn.
He did a Laura Bush.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
He's married to Sarah Jessica Parker, so.
Yeah, I know. I don't like her.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something we should have done in Nerd News. We're doing Hocus Pocus.
Oh, we missed that for Nerd News. Next time. Anyway, do we have anything else? Do we want to try and figure out what our ideal fixer situation would be, or do we just want to skip it?
Peter Dinklage and Tom Cruise.
Oh my god. I was talking for your life, not Peter Dinklage.
Oh, not Peter Dinklage's life? Well, we have such similar lives, so...
yeah.
He's in good movies. I've watched those movies.
So similar.
We'll skip it then. All right. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G, making horrible connections between TV shows. I'm your host, Mike Finkelstein.
I'm still wishing Peter Dinklage would answer my text messages, Josh Schaefer.
I'm Queen Bee.
And we will see you next time. So long as the principal doesn't catch us.